if we can save a patient for them to overcome remission from cancer and get back to their normal life and live happily ever after with a family, that is the success. That is number one success. When you are given a limited time, you treasure those moments, because we are too occupied with whatever we do in life. When they're struggling for their next meal, finding funds to get transportation for treatment is not an option for them. They'd rather accept their fate. If you can contribute in any form, not just financially, or if you can niche it or any form, that's all we have to do.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I just have a favor to ask before we begin. If you've been enjoying these conversations and want more stories that redefine success, please do us a massive favor and hit the subscribe button over on our YouTube channel. It literally takes 2 seconds to do and is completely free. It's a small gesture, but it makes a massive difference for us, as it really helps us to grow the show. And with that, let's get into the episode. All right, welcome back to the Quest for Success podcast, and thanks so much for tuning in once again. Today on the show, we're really excited because we have a friend of the show on. We're lucky enough to be joined by Binara Dharmawardana, who is, in my opinion, a social entrepreneur, and he is the founder of CDF, which is an incredible charity doing a lot of work over in Sri Lanka.
So I had the privilege of meeting Binara probably about 18 months ago. Through a mutual friend, and then we caught up together, and Binara mentioned about his charity, and it's actually really eye-opening charity and what he's doing, and helping a community that really desperately need that help. And we want to talk a bit more about your charity. And Binara, thank you so much for joining us today, and it's really nice to have you in our home, having this chat with us.
Absolutely fantastic, and it's great to be here in Sydney.
So, Binara, this whole conversation is about success. And so we need to start with a very fundamental question. And that is, what does success actually mean to you?
Success is delivering or achieving what you have dreamt of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, simple. Keep it simple, very simple.
Yeah.
And what is it that you dream
of? In terms of CDF, to provide, to fill in a gap in a nation where lack of transportation was a cause, and to not being able to have that necessary health care, so being able to fulfill that need was my dream. And we were fortunate enough, thanks to many amazing hearts and generosity shown, extended by a number of people, that we managed to achieve that success over the years.
It's incredible. And I suppose for the people listening who maybe haven't heard of CDF, can you give us the short pitch, the one-liner?
CDF is a patient transport or non-emergency ambulance service providing essential medical transportation, both inbound and outbound to a hospital, regardless of distance, time, and cost, to the underprivileged, impoverished communities in Sri Lanka who are suffering from terminal illnesses.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to kind of go understand a bit more about your charity. But before that, Binara, we would like to take you back to your early childhood, and just to understand the person that in front of us talking to us, just to understand your early childhood, your background, growing up in Sri Lanka. take us through what was that journey like?
Yeah, obviously, I had the opportunity to see both the village kind of lifestyle as well as life, and the urban, semi-urban life as well, in Sri Lanka when I grew up, because I hail from down south, but also I lived and went to school in south of Colombo.
Uh-huh.
So it's urban or semi-urban, yet I grew up in the 80s and 90s, where we were exposed to number of social activities, social enterprises, and I'm coming from a very Buddhist background,
Mhm.
but I went to a Catholic school, so I had the privilege of celebrating the Vesak festival, as well as Christmas,
Yeah.
as well as the Easter.
Yeah.
So that exposure helped me to get a better understanding of different communities, and also even in the village, I saw a lot of poor people who are struggling, who are working as farmers. And then also, you had the opportunity to see land sort of owners,
Yeah.
who sort of, own the land. They had paddy fields and growing rice, as well as the coconut estates, and also cinnamon. Myself, I had a cinnamon small
All right.
estate or
wow.
plantation. So, and then coming back to Colombo, I had the privilege of, because my dad was an artist,
Yeah.
of getting to know all the artists, as well as uh, quite a few celebrities and politicians, and so on. And also, since I went to school in south of Colombo, a number of musicians and cricketers, and I had the privilege of getting to know some of the greatest entertainers in Sri Lanka from my small days. So I had a variety from a farmer to a top musician. So I had a really good background.
Yeah.
So that exposure and the knowledge, and helped me to understand people's needs, how much we need to give back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So talking about your father, I mean, he's one of the early actors of teledramas. Is that right?
that's correct.
And
Yes.
Cyril Dharmawardana, and he's one of most popular teledrama actors. Early days.
Early days, he actually came from the stage plays. That was his, he came to stardom, within the stage. And then when television was introduced to Sri Lanka in the early 80s, teledramas was the main entertainment for the people of Sri Lanka. So he had the opportunity to sort of, star in most of the initial teledramas before we had all these various channels and
Yeah.
everything. And then before the Indian and the Hollywood influence came.
And as a young boy, what values do you think you got from both of your parents? Like, what was the kind of environment that you grew up in?
I grew up. My mom is an author.
All
She's
right.
an award national literacy award-winning writer, author. She's probably the fastest writer. She has produced 47 books in the
Really?
last 10 years.
Wow.
And also, my dad is an actor. So my background was in the field of art. But at the same time, my dad used to work for Unilever, so he had a parallel career in the corporate world as well. So I had the privilege to get to know all the corporate world and the companies and so on. So I had a really good exposure, and I was very down to earth, guy. We used to do a lot of take part in Dansala or the Shramadana on the street, and we used to play till the late night,
Yeah.
till the lights come on, street lights come on, play cricket or, some other game. So we had a really, we didn't have social media, we didn't have
Yep.
devices back then. So that exposure, the Generation X exposure of the 80s and the 90s, helped me. Today, I'm in IT, so therefore, I had that, transition from Generation X, from no devices with a black and white TV to start with, a huge, very heavy television, to cassettes, and the VCR to today's technology.
Yeah. And I want to know what that transition was like, because it sounds like you grew up in a very creative environment with, your mum being an author, your dad being an actor, and then you ended up in IT, which is, a very different field. I want to know what that kind of transition was.
Yeah, no, there was a intermediate thing as well, where at that time Sri Lanka had a booming apparel export trade. So my first choice was to get into the apparel export trade, because we thought that's the in thing. You always, get into
Looking for the
something,
trends, right?
trends, you follow the trends and you make mistakes and then you find your way, right? So similarly, I got into that, and that's what I wanted to study and pursue a career. But then I realized, no, probably technology is the way to go. So, stop, start. You learn from your mistakes. And then I got into IT, and then I finished up my degree. Then I had the privilege of working in Sri Lanka. So where then I saw in a different way about people who are living in a developing nation, their struggles and all that, and I see that because my dad is portraying a character on TV, the struggles of the people, and my mom is writing a book about the struggles of the people. So I had this, the struggles of the people is always constantly, bugging
Surrounding
me,
you,
what can you do to help them? So that exposure would have, led the way to where, what that led the way to, for me to create this sort of, charitable organization to help those people who are struggling.
Yeah. So, Binara, you came to Australia to study, right?
Yes.
When was that?
I came in the mid 90s to study in Australia, and then I completed my 2000. I finished my studies, and then went back to Sri Lanka, and I worked. And once again, middle of, so 2004, I came back to came back to Australia, and started my journey in the corporate world here. But technical side is a bit different to the rest of the corporate world. And I had the privilege of working for, the, various vertical industries, banking and finance, and utility, telco, government, and then my parents also migrated here. And after my parents migrated, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and so that led.
I want to go back to I want to understand a bit more onto that story, but before that, why did you decided to come back to Australia? You had any reason? Going after your studies, you went back to Sri Lanka for 4 years, and you decided, well, you want to come back to Australia, um, and then even bring your parents into Australia. Any particular reason?
Obviously, within that time, I would have seen the disparity between the two countries. And we know that early 2000s, Sri Lanka went through an economic crisis and also the war that we experienced. And with all these issues, I would have, since I studied in Australia, I would have seen, wow, there is a better life elsewhere, and Australia is the place to be. So I would have at that time made my mind, no, I need to go back to Australia and settle down, and not just to go back to Australia, and also to bring my family, because
Yeah.
I'm the only child, and to bring my parents as well, which I did.
Again, then after a while, then your father diagnosed with cancer, and what was that experience like?
That's the most difficult time of my life. When a family member is diagnosed with a terminal illness, um, words cannot comprehend, the difficulty that we went through. And uh, so, and by the time my dad's illness was diagnosed, it was stage 4 cancer.
Wow.
So there was no way out. So his only treatment method was a trial treatment, because there was no other way. When you are diagnosed with primary lung cancer, stage 4 metastatic, there's no way to go.
Yeah.
So it is a matter of time. So my dad was given 6 months to live, but actually with the trial programs, he lived 1.5 years.
Wow.
So he also traveled during that time.
Okay.
He remained fit, and then he went to Sri Lanka. He visited the cancer hospitals, and he also, saw the disparity. And we all our lives as a family, we've dealt with struggles of the people. So, so we came back and, spoke about these things, and the struggles of the people. So we knew that. So that was a very difficult time period. But we tried to sort of, stay calm and sort of, carry on with continue with our everyday lives, working, managing family, and etc. So that was a very difficult period, and that difficult time would have really given me some sort of a determination of making a change later on.
And you mentioned disparity there. For, a lot of our listeners are global, might not have been to Sri Lanka. Can you describe some of the scenes that you saw in the Sri Lankan system when it comes to, cancer treatment?
Not just Sri Lanka, any developing nation in Southeast Asia or South America or Africa, a majority, and probably parts of Eastern Europe. When you are in a developing nation against a developed nation, the main thing is the facilities that you have in a developed nation. Those people who are living in developing nations, they don't have those facilities, the basic facilities, basic human rights. So when I'm not implying on political human rights here, it's a basic necessities um, of having those facilities. Like the prime example I can give you is transport. When a meal is a struggle for a family or for an individual, when they're struggling for their next meal, finding funds to get transportation for treatment is not an option for them. It doesn't happen. They'd rather stay at home and they
Accept that.
accept their faith, and we want to beat that. So I am used to fighting against cancer. I tried to fight a battle against cancer with my dad. I lost, but I will never give up on that.
I don't think actually you lost, because this is a continuation of
This
that
is-
battle, right?
True.
You're still
True.
fighting, right?
Still fighting.
Yeah.
Still
So
fighting.
I really want to go back and understand, because I mean, some of our viewers probably going through a similar kind of situation.
Yeah.
I mean, the cancer is such a widespread these days. We're all affected by some kind of a connection with cancer. And so what was your discussion with your father like during that time? Has it changed as soon as you realize, this is a life-threatening moment? Like, your discussions sort of changed, the way you look at the life has changed?
Uh, we would have had limited conversations, but we probably would have talked about cricket or some other thing.
Trying to ignore?
Try to ignore. Try to not talk about it, but it's in you. It's planted. It's in your head.
Yeah.
But you try to sort of change the conversation and talk about a television series.
But you
or-
realize you have limited time together, right?
Of course, absolutely. So we did several trips together. We went to see a lot of games, and we did all those fun things. When you know that a loved one is going to live for a short period of time, you want to spend some quality time. The things that you could never do, you want to achieve those things. So those are the things that we did at that time. So it was special memories.
Yeah.
It's when you turn back and look, it's sad, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough time.
And did that change how you view relationships now? Like in that moment, you realize you only have 6 months left with your dad. Does that change how you look at your relationship with your family, the rest of your family, your kids?
100%. 100%. Sometimes when things are normal, you take things for granted, right?
Yeah.
And when you are given a limited time, you don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
You treasure those moments.
Yeah.
Because we are too occupied with whatever we do in life, and then when the moment comes, a limited time, it's then you treasure those moments.
Yeah. What was your relationship was with your dad like? I mean, you always looked up to him, because I mean, he's a quite well-known figure in Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah.
Was he always inspirational to you?
Yeah, he was inspirational because he had so many parallel careers as well. He was involved in the corporate world a bit, in the field of arts, as well as he was a political and a social activist as well. So there were so many sectors so many areas that he shared information with me. So I used to look up to him, and then I got to know a lot of people through my dad as well.
Yeah.
So that was a great influence, and I'm glad that I had that background, and he basically shared all that. He communicated.
Yeah.
We had lots of conversations.
Yeah.
So with those conversations, that really helped me to analyze and sort of find my pathway, and not forgetting your roots and your childhood, or your roots, or the history, or your background, and your village, and basically your motherland. So so that's the main influence that I had, because a lot of people, when they migrate some people, when they migrate, they even forget your language,
Mhm.
mother tongue, and they forget their past and they move on there with future. It's good to move on with your future and sort of and get into the direction, but you cannot forget your past, and you cannot forget your mother tongue and your history and
Your
the
background,
culture
yeah.
background.
People
Yeah.
you left behind.
People you left behind, pretty much.
Mm.
And you mentioned that, in your dad's final days, you did a lot of traveling together and he was going to visit all these different cancer hospitals. Was it his legacy that you were trying to continue when you started CDF?
Yes, his legacy for part, but in terms of CDF, he would have never imagined the magnitude of what CDF has
Yeah.
achieved. He would have never, in his wildest dreams, would have ever imagined that. I know,
Yeah.
because knowing the amount of time and effort and money and that I put in, he wouldn't have never imagined
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
Even I
Yeah.
didn't.
Why,
I didn't
why
think.
did I mean, your thoughts? Why did he wants to go and visit cancer hospital back in Sri Lanka? Even he's getting all his treatment here in Australia, right?
Yeah, he wanted to go and see them, cancer hospitals, because to see, probably he wanted to do something, but
Yeah.
he
So he
was
had that
not fit.
intention,
He
right?
had the intention. He always had the intention. He was a very generous philanthropist in his own,
Yeah.
means and ways, and helping a lot of people in the field of arts. And especially, I remember all the film directors or dramatists or actors, whenever they wanted some help, there were every day we had people coming in the morning to my place,
Yeah.
and he opened the door and he never said no to a single person.
Yeah.
Actually, he was in trouble with my mom for accommodating all those requests
Yeah.
of help, financially, or in many ways that he wanted all these people who, even to date, I carry on his tradition
Legacy.
or legacy of personally. Now,
Yeah.
CDF is it's separate
Yeah.
institution, but personally, I do help number of artists who are struggling in Sri Lanka,
All right.
which I do,
Yeah.
carrying on his
So
legacy.
I mean, so we want to get into CDF. We just want to understand. So how this idea come about? Like, I know your dad had some intention of helping cancer patients, but what made you decide? Well, this is what I want to do.
First of all, in Australia, we saw how when you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, the facilities, we experience that, of the transport facility for patients. So that was remarkable. We've never seen anything like that. So, and then secondly, soon after my dad passed away, I went back to Sri Lanka. I wanted to do, in our culture, we do meritorious deeds, in memory of a loved one who has passed away. So I actually went to a hospital in the south, and I reached up to them and asked, "Is there anything you need?" Um, and they said, "I don't know for what reason." They told me, they say one of the biggest issues that challenges the patients have is, um, there's they don't have a way of getting back for repeat treatment,
Mm.
because transportation is a major issue, especially those who are coming in the rural and remote areas. Now, if you take the Gaul Karapitia Cancer Hospital, which is the largest in the south
Yeah.
for almost 7 million people who are living in the south for entire southern province, 3 districts, and there's an extension towards Monaragala, Ratnapura, not just called Mataram Pandota. Some of them are coming from far away places like remote villages, and they will come once,
Yeah.
but they realize it's costing too much. They don't have money, and it's too much of a struggle. And even after the treatment, to get back home, it's a struggle. So they don't come back. So basically, they'll just, when you need a dozen cycles of
Treatments.
chemo or treatment, they'll just take one and they will just ignore it, and then will accept their fate, and they will die.
Yeah. I mean, people that we're talking about, they just live by the day, right?
Live by the day.
They probably have a one meal if they're lucky.
Yeah.
And so for them to go like 5-6 hours to the hospital is almost impossible.
And not only that, it's dusty and it's tough conditions, and buses are crowded. They don't get a seat, and it's just absolute struggle for them. So even if you talk about, center of the country or the northern part, it's even worse. Certain areas, probably there's only about 3 buses for a whole day.
All day.
And to get to that bus stop, they have to walk for hour and a half. So by the time they walk in the thick jungle or somewhere, if they could easily miss the bus, so that opportunity is gone. So that's why, and some people, when they come for treatment, you see a lot of hospitals in Sri Lanka, they're crowded. Because sometime after a surgery or a treatment, they don't have the means of getting back home. They don't have the, first of all, money or the energy, or and they just sleep on a corridor or hospital floor. They just stay there. And that's why, so it's affecting the cleanliness, the hospital as well. And so these are the reasons. So it's tough. It's not just in Sri Lanka, the rest of the world, where in the developing nations, it's more than half of the world. This is a fact. And they don't have means and ways of getting back home.
Even patients, right? I've seen it in hospitals, government hospitals. They, in one bed, right? There's 2-3 patients, and even under the bed, right? It's so sad because
It's so sad.
and because these guys are so desperate, and the hospital are so desperate, they're admitting all these patients, but they don't have space. I mean, here never happened, right? You only have patients for the beds, right? But they have 3-4 patients for a single bed. It's like so, and then just imagine, because there's no infrastructure, no toilets, not enough staff to do the cleaning. So it's actually a worse place to be when you're sick.
Yeah. So so these are the reasons. So if you can make a change, if you can make an impact to that issue, that's a huge
So that
achievement.
was your eye opener. So this hospital just said, well, can you help to provide some transport?
And now, after having lost my dad, I'm determined to make a change. I said, I will do it. And they just wanted one vehicle. I actually delivered 2 to them.
Wow, how did you do that?
Because I bought one.
Oh, right.
And then some of my friends got together and sort of, and then funded the second one. And then we send the 2 vehicles to Sri Lanka. And then only we realize, oh no, not just supplying the vehicle, you got to pump fuel. and employ drivers as well.
Yeah.
So it's your business now,
Yeah.
right? Because no one takes the responsibility. There's nothing. So then only we formally set up the foundation, and then we realized that we need to sustain the service.
Yeah.
And then we provided an end-to-end service. So purchasing an ambulance, sending it to Sri Lanka, doing all the registrations, clearance, insurance, everything, and employing drivers, maintenance of the vehicle, fuel. It's an end-to-end
Yeah.
Yeah.
activity. And then since you're doing an end-to-end activity, there's no impact to the government, so they loved it.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Health, and then whole lot of requests came from the rest of the hospitals around the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah, you realize the
They got
problem.
it. We want it now.
Yeah, you realize the problem is much bigger than just
much
one or
bigger.
two.
And then they would have thought, oh, we've got a ambulance Santa Claus here, so
Yeah.
go for it.
And now, many years on, how many ambulances? Like, what is the fleet? What is CDF?
So at the moment,
impact?
we've got 13 vehicles, ambulances running in the south and in the north central, which is the largest operation that we have in the vast Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Trincomalee.
Much needed areas.
Much needed areas, more than the south, because we see the disparity between the south and the north as well. Like the disparity we see Australia and Sri Lanka. Within Sri Lanka also, we see the northern service is unbelievable. How much it helps people and how appreciative they are at the northern service, and we always give priority to the northern and central that service. Catering for people in Vaunia, Mulativ, Kilinochi, Jaffna, Mana, those areas, they were fighting a war for the last 30 years. Those people got affected. Those people who lived all their lives, you're facing a war. Now they are diagnosed with some sort of illness. So it's very unfortunate. And those people we want to help. And we have two main objectives of CDF is to sometimes the only breadwinner is diagnosed with cancer, so the entire family system fails because the kids can't go to school. There's no money. The probably the wife or the partner has never been worked or trained for any sort of area, so she can't do anything. Elderly parents are dependent on this patient. So the whole system falls. So we want to try and help them battle cancer and overcome the situation and get back to their normal life. So help them to beat cancer. That's a number one priority. Number two is some people, they've got stage 4 cancer or, living a month or 2 weeks, for them to have a pain-free end of life. So getting them to hospital, make sure that they have painkillers, make sure they're comfortable. So we don't want them to have a struggling, excruciating pain within the last couple of weeks of their lives. So these are the two main objectives of helping those people, especially in the north.
And over the years, do you have a rough number of how many people you've helped transport?
Yes, because we've got about 40,000 to date.
Wow.
Because sometimes we have our ambulances are pretty large. So, we have two types of vehicles. The Mercedes Sprinter, which is a large Sprinter that, most, in the developed world like Australia, they use that. And then we have the long wheelbase, high roof, high ace Toyota. Um, um, so so not we have the stretcher facilities as well as seating facility. So when we have one key patient, the main patient we are taking, for example, if you're taking a cancer patient from Anuradhapura to far away place, let's say Padaviya in from Anuradhapura main hospital, when we are taking one main patient on a stretcher, sometimes there's a couple of our other CKD patients will also travel with us.
Okay.
So sometimes, but especially COVID time,
Yeah. that's
2
tough.
years or 3 years, we only had, because of the regulation, we only had one patient.
Yeah.
But certain times we have multiple patients as well. So generally, if we are bringing a patient from Jaffna to Apeksha Hospital in Maharagama, we'll only bring one patient because only one needed. But sometimes if we are going from Golkarapitiya to Tissamaharama in Hambantota district, if there's a secondary patient who's going to Valigama, we will take that patient as well
Yeah.
and drop
Yeah.
off.
I mean, when people don't understand the distance, right? Maybe more than distance, the time, like because in Sri Lanka there's only one specialized cancer hospital, right? That's in Maharagama. That's a specialized cancer treatment hospital. So from someone to come from Tissamaharama, that's a half a day journey, right?
That's a half a day journey.
Yeah, that's like at least 8 hours in ambulance. So that's a long journey, right? Like, so, I mean, if you catch a public transport, that's a whole day journey.
It's a whole day journey,
Yeah.
and there's nobody else provide this service in Sri Lanka. So bringing them to Maharagama Apeksha Hospital and do the treatment and dropping them back home
Wow.
after treatment. So
Yeah.
we do both inbound and outbound.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a way that we can avoid that second journey, if the patient gets admitted to the hospital, then we don't have to worry about that
Yeah,
second
yeah.
run, right? Then we can do another patient from Maharagama to Badulla, and then we drop off that patient in Badulla, and then come back to the Gaul station, or so it's a continuous journey. So these ambulances are running just like buses pretty much every day all over the country. So um, so sometimes if we bring a patient from Polonnaruwa to Maharagama, and then there's another patient waiting to go from Maharagama to Matara, then same vehicle we take them. So use the same vehicle to take the next patient as well.
Yeah.
So it's a constant journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Constant
It's a logistics problem.
logistics. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
never ending.
Yeah. But you mentioned these 40,000 people that you've honestly you've changed their lives, right? I want to know, out of those 40,000 people, are there any particular stories which have really touched you, which have made you go, yes, I'm doing the right thing?
Many stories. We have patients. If you go to CDF website, more than the website don't get updated all the
All right.
time, but Facebook is
Okay.
pretty much, I think, the best. We update it all the time. It's quite easy to put the posts, and YouTube does explain the impact. One of the stories a few years back, there was a girl who lost her leg. She was probably, by the time she lost her leg, she would have been 8 years old
Wow.
due to a cancer. So she lived in a tea estate in down south, um, in between Ratnapura and Gaul district somewhere. And we used to bring her for treatment. Her mother, she didn't have a father. One of her siblings was having some sort of another illness that he couldn't move. Mother was a tea plucker. So if mom had to bring her for cancer treatment,
Yeah.
they will lose their
Mm.
days.
Maybe $5 a day
Yeah,
salary.
they will lose that. So we took over the responsibility of making sure we bring her for treatment because not just she lost her leg, but she had other treatment. So we regularly brought her, went and took her back, and then mom comes, and because we can only take the vehicle up to a certain area, because after that it's walking in between
Yeah.
tea plantation. So they had to walk to the place where they were staying, probably just 4 walls. And so we provided her the treatment, transport for treatment for about year and a half, if I remember correctly. And then she was well. Then
Wow.
she beat cancer. Then she had to get a prosthetic leg to be fixed. Now, this is prosthetic leg fix was done in Gampa district somewhere, Ragama. And then we have to bring her all the way to Ragama. Now, this is now, although we help out cancer patient, now she's okay.
Yeah.
But now this is going beyond cancer, right? So we brought her to Ragama, and we had to stay and until the leg is done, and then fit on, and then make sure that she goes back home. And we got to come for making sure all the adjustments and everything. And we brought her to Ragama several trips again, and then and that's how we go out of our way to help. That this is a typical non-emergency service. It's different to emergency. Emergency is from the incident location to the nearest hospital.
Yeah.
One journey, short journey, and job is done,
Yeah.
and no more.
Yeah.
They don't qualify for no more. There's no such. We looked at it from a humanely point of view, and even for patients to go for a scan, for a test, we take them regardless of distance, time, and
How can you
cost.
say no, right?
We can't say no.
I mean,
We can't
such
say
a
no.
needy people,
Such a needy people,
and they don't
Yeah.
have options, right?
They don't
no
have
other
any options.
Yeah.
So we do it. So when it comes to 40,000 patients, some of these patients we would have given them more than 20 ambulance transport rides.
Yeah.
So so actual number of rides that we have done would be over 100,000
For sure.
rides. But it's very difficult for us to, we do have operational records, but I'll have to go through and analyze the records, and we don't have such analytical software or anything like that for this to sort of because we as volunteers, the CDF management, our main job is to find the funds, and then the operational volunteers, their job is to manage the service over there. So we know we do it in such efficient manner, and most of the volunteers are God-fearing people who are involved in this organization. So we don't worry about the actual stats too much. So, we do our job, what we have to do.
I mean, that's an amazing thing, right? Like 100% of your administration, management team, all volunteers,
All
right?
volunteers.
And only people actually get paid are the people, drivers and the nurses and
we don't have nurses, the patient attendant,
Patient
because to
attendants,
handle the stretcher,
yeah.
you have to have two people in the vehicle. So we've got to have two members in the within every vehicle.
Yeah. So Binara, I want to go back a little bit back. You mentioned you started with 2 ambulance, pretty much donated by you and your family friends. And how did you manage to get into 13 ambulance over the past 12 years?
So after that, so we were helping out the people in the rural and remote areas, right? So now Royal Flying Doctors in Australia, what they do is help out the people in the rural and remote communities in Australia.
Yep.
We are not talking about Sydney Metro or Melbourne Metro. We are talking about people living in Northern Territory, vast Queensland and vast Western Australia,
Yeah.
where nearest hospital is 2 or 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers away.
Yeah.
So those people, they need medical facilities. They don't have the message because Australia is a continent.
Yeah.
So what flying doctors do, even in South Australia, is flying doctors was started almost 100 years ago by John Flynn, Reverend John Flynn. They are the world's first aeromedical service.
Is that right?
Today they have 80 ambulance aircrafts, and they have road transport vehicles as well. So after we started, they also help rural and remote communities. CDF also help rural and communities. So they saw there's a match.
Synergies, yeah.
Yeah. And they liked the idea. And they did their due diligence in Sri Lanka, and they donated 10 ambulances
Amazing.
to us.
Wow.
Not in one hit,
Yeah, yeah.
but over a period of time. So that helped us to get to
Yeah.
where we are today. And not just Royal Flying Doctors, like we need equipment, we need stretchers, we
Yeah.
need beacon lighting facility, we have sirens, we have many other internal equipment and everything. So Ambulance Victoria, St. John Ambulance, they also do their bit. They help out, whenever they can. But Flying Doctors have been amazing what they've given us. And Sri Lanka is the only place, like we are the only partner for Flying Doctors, international partner to
That's amazing.
have that. So being Flying Doctors is the most respected
Yep.
charity for the last probably 10 consecutive years. To be associated with them, to be a beneficiary of Flying Doctors, we are so fortunate. Sri Lanka is people of Sri Lanka. They're very fortunate to get that.
So the generosity of Australians helping Sri Lankans.
Absolutely. So the CEO of Flying Doctors, he is now our patron of our organization as well. So we have an amazing relationship going. We also help their fundraising events and everything. So it is a mutual sort of, friendship and caring for humans. And I myself spend a lot of time in the Northern Territory, so I do know the need over there as well. So it's our duty to help, whether you're in Australia or Sri Lanka or sort of, you need to get out there and go to Sri Lanka and have a look, or go to the rural communities in Australia, not just, playing golf and, staying in
bubble. An interesting fact, right? Like, Australia is such a large country, right? A continent, as you said, and Sri Lanka is a tiny little island, but we have similar kind of number of people in both countries, population wise, and then when you really look at it, right, your ambulance services is one of the top 3 ambulance services in Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah, Ministry of Health, the government of Sri Lanka, they said we are the 3rd largest ambulance service in the country.
And fully funded by this fund.
Foundation.
The foundation, amazing. That's an amazing thing, so you can see there's Australia, what they're doing is really contributing to what you're doing,
Australia, not just that, we report to the Australian Charities and Non-for-Profit Commission and the ATO, So we are a tax deductible charity, DGR, deductible gift recipient status. So any gift or donation to CDF charity is tax deductible here in Australia.
Yeah.
So that is tremendous, because being able to help a cancer patient in the rural and remote communities in Sri Lanka, to have that facility from the government, from this country, from Australia, is tremendous.
Amazing.
And you within your own experiences with your father, and also throughout CDF working with a lot of terminally ill patients, I want to know if it's changed your perspective on success. Because I imagine, having to have these conversations and see these people at, the end of their life, and having these realizations of, at the end of the day, my time on this earth is about to end. Has it changed what success really means to you?
No, because if we can save a patient for them to overcome remission from cancer and get back to their normal life and live, happily ever after with a family, that is the success.
Yeah.
That is number one success.
That's your objective, right?
That's the objective, 100%. That's the objective. The other one is, helping out people to have a peaceful end of life with a pain-free end of life. That is also a success. So that is our success, being able to make people comfortable.
Yeah.
That's what we are here for.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, a lot of people think that they have to do many things in life.
Yeah.
No, all what we have to do is help mankind. And if you do that,
Yeah.
if you can contribute in any form, not just financially, or if you can initiate or any form, that's all we have to do.
Yeah.
Even if you talk about service industry, if you have employment in the service industry, what you do is you help other humans.
Yeah.
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 Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I believe most of the people are working in the service industry, and especially in the future
Yeah.
with new technologies.
Yeah.
Most of the other work, manufacturing, will be done by robots and robotics, and so it'll be humans will be engaged in human services.
And Binara, I want to know what is your vision for the future of CDF?
Our vision is to sort of, one day we want to, obviously, currently we are using diesel vehicles. So we want to come to a stage where we no longer, we help the carbon footprint as well, not using fossil fuels. So we want to do a complete overhaul of, the vehicles, and provide more facilities, more transportation options for people who are living in other geographical areas that we don't cover at the moment. So if you take the although we take a patient from Colombo or Gaul to the hill country of hills region of Sri Lanka, to Badulla or wherever, we don't have a station within the central part of the country, the hills.
Yeah.
So we want to establish that. And we had several attempts, and we were counting on number of people to support us. We haven't had that luck so far. So we want to expand the service to those areas where we can help more people. So giving basic healthcare access to those people is the main dream, or objective, or that
Continue to do this,
continue to do it, and sustaining the existing service.
I mean, your fleet is getting old now, like 12 years running
12
this.
years vehicles, and and you got to replace the vehicles as well.
Yeah. And you mentioned the costing, like, so if someone wants to donate to your charity, what's the cost for maintaining a vehicle?
So we have an ambulance sponsorship program. So ambulance sponsorship means the fuel, maintenance, and pay
Yeah,
the
staff.
wages of the 2 staff members who's on that vehicle. The cost of that for 2 years is $20,000 Australian dollars, and if it's donated by a person with an income of more than $180,000, you'll get 49% tax back. So basically, it'll only cost you half that
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah, so $20,000 to sponsor one vehicle
One
for 2
vehicle.
years.
Yes.
That's the kind of sponsorship that you're looking for at this stage for your fleet.
Yes.
And apart from Australia, any other countries supporting this course?
Yeah, there's limited support from US, UK, and Canada, and also United Arab Emirates. We had an ambulance sponsor from Dubai, UAE. So it doesn't matter where you live if you can support us, and you don't have to do an ambulance sponsorship 20,000 itself, but that comes with your personalized tag. It's sponsored. We put a banner on the vehicle saying that sponsored by or in memory of the loved one, or act of kindness by so and so, or a company sponsored by. We can put a company logo. So we have that, but otherwise you can do a reoccurring direct debit, regular donation, or an annual donation. And it's a tax deductible charity. So any kind of donation will help us to sustain the service, because that cost of parts is on the rise. Fuel, it fluctuates, but inflation is getting high, so therefore we need to keep up with the staff demands because we don't want to lose the existing staff, because if we lose them we have to train new staff, and it's hard because we've got a really fantastic team, and they are very kind, and giving money is the easy part, but helping those patients, showing kindness, empathy, compassion, dealing with a patient, it's a tough gig. It's a tough job. So I don't want to lose employees who are kind and who are helpful, who's got that compassion. So with the inflation, when they make a salary demand, we want to sort of meet their demands. That's fair enough, because the kind of work they do, they deserve that
It's not
pay
easy.
increment.
And also I can imagine raising funds is not easy. Yeah, especially there's a lot going on
Because
at the
there's
moment.
a lot. All the charities are struggling with recent developments that happened beginning of the year in terms of world politics, after having Donald Trump elected as the president of the United States. So there were funding cuts to many charitable programs, but it doesn't have any effect to us because we work independently. We don't get any funding from US or any government funding from anywhere. We work hard. We have to be extremely lean and extremely efficient, and I'm ever grateful for CDF fundraising teams in various states in Australia for doing a fantastic job of staying as lean as possible. I don't know how we can be so lean, or I don't know how we can be so efficient. we are different. We raise good money
Yeah.
when it comes to an event, because I know that there's, if you take schools or any other dances or
Yeah.
events, they don't have to be lean, because it's a fun night. They have fun,
Yeah.
and the event is successful there because they have large gathering,
Yeah.
but they don't make any money.
Yeah.
But we
They
do
do.
a tremendous
Yeah.
job. We have a limited crowd,
Yeah.
but we make sure that we can
Yeah.
every dollar, and
Yeah.
the result is fantastic for
And,
us.
and I also know you work full time just to, just for your living expenses. And also sometimes you have to put money into this charity to get this going. So it's a amazing dedication. And you doing this for 12 years. You found this organization, the memory of your dad, and you continue to doing this amazing thing, and you're thinking of growing this and helping more Sri Lankans. If your dad sit next to you, what would you say to him?
He'll be shocked. He'll be shocked. Yeah, he'll be so proud as well. Yeah.
And Binara, I suppose looking back on this journey, and given your definition was largely around achieving your dreams, do you feel successful?
Absolutely. We've delivered something impossible.
Mm.
And I know that there were so many few people or organizations try to emulate what we do, and very influential people try to do what we do,
Yeah.
and none of them couldn't do it. So it's important. So I know how difficult it is. So we've achieved something impossible. So it's important to sustain this, even if you're not here. I want to make sure that it continues for generations or for decades to come, because it's so, no one have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. Just keep going with it, and hope that'll happen. And we are setting up a structure where later on there will be other people who will come to the leadership and take this movement forward to help hopefully run 100 years like Royal Flying Doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing.
And Binara, we could talk to you for ages, but I want to wrap it up. And I suppose looking back across your journey, I've tried to jot down what I think are some of the core traits which you embody, which have led to your success and also the success of CDF. The first one is compassion. I mean, at the end of the day, this all started out of, a gesture of compassion. And, there is no obligation on you to look after all these people, the 40,000 people, which is such an incredible statistic, but you do it because, of your compassionate nature. And I think that's incredibly special. The next one is resilience. And I know from our discussion now and also our discussion last night, it's so incredibly difficult to raise funds and continue to, move this behemoth along. And you keep waking up, keep showing up, and keep doing it every single day. And I think that's a true testament to your resilience. And 12 years running, 100,000 plus, I'm sure, transports. That's a true testament to your resilience. And the last one is you're incredibly value driven. And I think that, goes back to this real give back mentality. And something I really respect is your ability to recognize that disparity. A lot of people go and see that and go, oh, yeah, I'm living in a bit of a bubble. But you really went, okay, I'm living in a bubble. What can I do about it? And I think that kind of action mindset is also really important, and going out of your way to really make a difference in this world.
Yeah, it's amazing conversation. Thank you, Binara, spending some time with us and sharing your story. And we want to support this course, going forward. And for our viewers, I want to ask you two things. One, just think of how lucky we are, right?
Absolutely.
People don't really appreciate what you have, your good health, you have amazing family. Sometimes we ignore those things, right? And there are so many people don't have any of those things, right? So the second thing, your wealth is not how much money you have in the bank or how many followers you have in your social media. It's all about how much money you're willing to give it to others for greater cause. So consider not just CDF fund, what other things that you can do it for contribute to others. So have a think those things. And thank you so much, Binara, sharing this with us. I think we also gave us a whole perspective to life as well. And it's an eye-opening discussion.
Absolutely.
And Binara, if people want to support CDF, where's the best place for them to find out some more information?
Facebook is there. Our website is www.cdfcharity.org. Social media is there. Just type CDF charity. You will see the YouTube. You will see the Facebook.
Yeah.
You will see all the links. You will see pretty much everything. I always recommend them to go to the YouTube and see the impact we
Yes,
are
for
making
sure.
for those people. So, or directly contact us. All the numbers and email addresses, everything is there on Facebook and website and Instagram,
And
everything
also
is there.
you have some events, fundraising events coming up. There's one in Sydney coming up on 21st of March 2026 next year. And we hope people can support.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and more than just financial support as well. We were mentioning this yesterday. Not everyone's in a position to give.
Yep.
But more than giving financially, you can support by sharing the content, sharing the vision, so that it gets to more and more people, so more people understand what this issue actually is. And
Becoming an advocate,
absolutely,
talk about it,
Yeah.
influencer,
Yeah.
and they can play different roles.
Yeah, fantastic. And with that, if you guys have gotten something out of today's episode, it would mean the world if you could like and subscribe. It really helps us to grow the show and get to more and more ears. And you can see all of our inspirational content over at our website, thequestforsuccesspodcast.com. And with that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.